Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2, a Terran versus Zerg showdown. The youngins are back at it again. And the sparks and bodies are certainly going to fly between these two, arguably, and, well, not so arguably, we can just look at the numbers, the fastest players in the world. Let me introduce, in the bottom right, affectionately nicknamed the Kid by the person across from him, despite being slightly older. It is the Frenchman from Team Liquid. It's Clem. We'll see what he has in store. Liquid Clam on the other side, sometimes known, but many times the underdog, actually, in this matchup. Definitely not a pushover, though. The world champion. One of the best Zergs in the whole world, and that is a hotly contested list. But the one thing no one contests is he's the fastest, averaging almost always over 500, up to 600 actions per minute, aka over 10 a second. I don't even think most of you get over 10 a second alone in your bed. So, you must respect the level of competition here. Like and subscribe if you want to see more of these two, but it's not an unlikely... Oh, Jimmy! It's Reynor! It's right. His name's Reynor. It's right there. Okay. Thank you. Thin ice. Looks like we're going to start off pretty standard. Now, I've got to, as we get to this is an ESL Cup Grand Finals, of course, between these two. I mean, it'd be very unlikely, unless they meet each other before the finals, they wouldn't make it there. Clem's Reaper, the only one worth watching most of the time. Otherwise, it is just kind of the, I'm watching you and don't you dare get out of line kind of Reaper for many players. But Clem, on the other hand, is a real threat to everything that he can get his dual-wielded pistols on. 2 command centers. Well, what I was saying was with the I Am Katowice, the World Championship coming up, for most people, the hundreds of dollars in prizing for the ESL Cups, especially boosted by Shopify, is great. Like, amazing, yes. No. Small potatoes with 6 digits on the line at I Am Katowice. I don't think we're gonna see middle of the road, straight up macro, because that's not something that has changed in months or years or even over a decade. Especially with the way Clem's going here. 3cc Hellion with a 1-1-1. You've seen this before, and I think we'll see it again. It's a tried and true method of keeping map control early, consistent scouting, and making it difficult for the Zerg to get the jump on you. Because, at the very least, if there's some sort of roach all-in or early lair, it's very likely to be spotted just by the lack of queens and the lack of a third hatchery. And when you have a starport so early... Oh, I take it back. Oh my god. I can't even read a production tab. I take it all back. It's a 3-2-1-1, which is a bit of a greedier option. It's kind of, assuming that Reynor won't go for some sort of super early all-in, and of course he's not here. If you don't have the starport, you can't get a Banshee, which means you are a little vulnerable to things like roach all-ins, but it's Clem. And it's Reynor, so I don't think Reynor's going to bet very much on just brute forcing a win in game 1. I don't. Especially against his opponent here. Now, it'll be interesting to see, even though I think Terran overall has a slight edge in the late game in most matchups and with most players because of ghosts and just the cost efficiency of Liberators, that doesn't mean you can't compete at all as Zerg. It's a little map dependent. The mid game can very much determine the momentum. So we'll have to see if we get to that stage. But right now, Essentially nothing has happened. It's a 3-2-1-1 from Clem. I want to give you a comparison. When Beyond first did the 2 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport, the 2-1-1 diamond players are emulating poorly to this day. His medevacs would be out and across the map around 5 minutes, with 2 command centers. Nowadays, that build has been refined so well, it's essentially the same thing, but with Hellions and a 3rd command center, without losing more than 30 seconds. So, in the time it takes to build... Is he building 4 engineering bays? So, Clem really wants upgrades here, and by that I mean he hit his engineering bay timing and then immediately forgot he hit his engineering bay timing. Oh my god, Clem. How are you even... Jimmy, my notes. The #1 Terran outside of Korea. Don't you know anything? That is 250... Anyways, microing at the front. What do you mean outside of Maru? Same thing. So, the decoy NG base, the backup. Small mistake. Actually will cut into a potential attack timing slightly. It's not a huge deal, obviously. 250 minerals, not going to make or break much. But it's certainly not going to help when the Zerglings close in, surround and kill a clutch of Marines at the 3rd, but Clem has made his way back. In fact, the combat shield upgrade didn't start either. Okay, a little shaky here. Maybe didn't finish his baguette before the match, as he was busy trying to butter his biscuit instead of focusing on his build. But it is very small mistakes, and it's not like Reynor has done critical damage. It's just Clem hasn't been able to deal it back. Oh, the target fire! Aimbot on the Banelings! Without Baneling speed, you might as well keep them at home. It's just a big, shiny target for Clem. Easily guns down all but one. The Queens have to come up and be the stopgap here as many times they are called to do. Upgrades on the way on both sides. 1-1. Combat shield is closing in alongside drilling claws as well. A very quick... Relatively quick drilling claw. I'm not going to say very quick. I'm going to say moderately quick. Alright, that's what I'm willing to commit to. Before 1-1 finishes, or right around the same time he got that armory. He actually used it for a bit of a Hellbat push, but like many things involving Hellbats, it didn't pan out. One finishing up, everything coming together, the full spread for both sides, really. Infestation Pit already on the way for Reynor. Comfortable at 74 drones, adding a few more. Creep across half the map. He's got 5 hatcheries. Wouldn't be surprised to see more added on for macro purposes. One of the few players who's going to be able to keep up on the injects. Just chilling at 700-something APM. Hitting that 4-digit mark occasionally, and creeping up towards over 500 as his larva and unit count starts to grow. Of course, Clem is no slouch himself at 400 actions per minute. And we're just getting started. The match has barely begun. 8.5 minutes. Over 150 supply, plus 2 attack on the way across the board. Hive, Hydralis Den, aka the placeholder for a Lurker Den. But a whole lot of Zerglings and Banelings on the right. Reynor knows he's been spotted. He knows Widow Mines are a risk. A few tanks being mixed in as well from Clem. A mixed bag of factory units. The Marines got down another Queen, but not going to make much more progress. I like the tank as a kind of a placeholder here. Just making sure that Reynor can... He has to commit enough units to close the distance. And the tank's always going to get damaged. Widow Mine's not as reliable, but still plenty have been produced. We've been seeing this a little more. Clem mixing in tanks. Not shying away from the mines, of course. Oh, beautiful spread! And with no creep, Banelings are almost worthless at the cost... Well, the cost effectiveness they're going to get against a spread like that. Meanwhile, a huge Zergling Baneling attack to the right flank. Clem knows something's around there, but does he know the magnitude of this? He's pushing forward. A lot of Marines and Marauders diving back. Widow Mine's taking big chunks, but Reynor has split his forces. He's brought in Overseer. More damage being dealt. Another mine at the front. It's not going to burrow in time. Banelings in the natural, looking for more. 8 SCVs, 21! Critical damage! Clem dragged back across the map, only to witness the devastation of his economy. 2-2's on the way, but Clem has taken a big hit here. Reynor with a significant commitment, and Clem just did not have units in place to defend that little bit of momentum that all those little build order tweaks could have made. Now Reynor taking advantage of it, going right through the depots, looking for more. The Banelings being chased down, but the fact this many Marines and Marauders are staring at the third as opposed to the one on Reynor's side of the map, trying some drilling claws mine drops, looking for another opportunity. Reynor dodges it with a Spore Crawler, not even taking damage to drilling claws mines, which is not a very heartening experience here for Clem. Well, +3 is on the way. The upgrades are about as good as they're going to get for now. Lurkers being produced, one on the field. He's actually going, one of the few players who will go for Lurker speed before Lurker range. Just trying to get him in the position in time. The Hellbats tank the Banelings for now. A scan spots that there's not much more than a couple Lurkers on the back line, but a couple, actually that's 3. Almost enough to slice through Marines in a single volley. Actually, I'm not sure how many it takes. Really more than 2, and you probably shouldn't bother. Widow Mines find a lot of the Banelings. Still Marines on the back line. +2 armor done. Zerglings coming in. Clem still pushing the issue. He's got 110 army supply. Dancing back. The Widow Mines are recharging. Adaptive Talons done. No Seismic Spines. No Lurker range yet. Lurker range kind of important against Widow Mines. He didn't queue it up afterwards. As Reynor... Oh, there we are. Using every last drop of gas he can to get his upgrades and hive tech ready. Clem, on the other hand, is stabilized for now. He's at 170 supply. He's starting some ghosts. He's only at 60 SCVs. He's still reeling from that hit earlier. But if he's able to max out, his army is going to be very tough to deal with. Meanwhile, the Marauders on the front line. Marines split backwards. Lurkers press the issue. Widow Mines slowly being chipped away. Another Lurker sniped off, but no snipes yet at the front. This medevac looking for an opportunity. More Widow Mine. They're recharged. If Reynor takes a wrong move here, he could lose a whole lot, but instead... Oh, that's a little awkward. Lurker eats a mine hit. Pay the toll. Is he gonna try to break this with bio? There's one ghost in there, but several Lurkers will make this incredibly difficult. The Banelings trying to close the distance. Marines splitting back. Marauders tanking the damage when possible. There was a Widow Mine dropping the other side. Killed a handful of drones. Not enough to matter. More Widow Mines taking out a lot of the Zerglings and Banelings, but the Lurkers closing the distance. 5, 6 Lurkers on Clem's third. Making it very difficult to maintain this economy. Those Widow Mines. Reynor lost 13 drones, plummeting to 82. I think he's okay. That actually may have helped Reynor in the short term, as 82 drones is more than enough to maintain his production. The Lurkers, without it, really you need at least as many ghosts as they have Lurkers. Otherwise, the Lurkers kind of just interrupt the ghosts with that damage. A tank, the orbital taking damage. Ghost gets some snipes off, slowly chipping away. Reynor not pressing the issue. He's letting the Lurkers just slice and dice. A minimalist attack. He's actually just fighting here. I think Reynor kind of forgot this is something you can do. Like, you don't have to snipe. You could actually just attack him. Like, everybody kind of didn't realize that for a moment. And then Clem realized, hey, wait a sec. And that is why you bring the Zerglings with him. Oh, Widow Mine. Another! Oh, those Widow Mines 100% keeping Clem in the match. So far, 350 Zerglings down and counting. So Clem with 110 army supply. He's actually back to 80 SCVs. The only thing he doesn't have is map control, as Reynor's taken much of his side, and he's working on Clem's now. The Ghosts themselves, pretty good against Zerglings and Banelings. They don't really require... They're actually just solid fighting units in and of themselves. A lurker on the high ground making things difficult. Now this is the problem with losing that momentum. It's not so much you don't have the economy, it's just you can't expand because Reynor has taken the rest. Reynor's going for the center here. He's going for the throne. The Banelings, oh, caught up against his own orbital. Several ghosts die to the Banelings. 16 SCVs, 18. Reynor has gutted the third. And Clem reeling. Struggling to deal with... He's got maybe one attack, if any. Reynor unwilling to give anything up while taking whatever he can. Single lurker. Burrows. Once again, the SCV count precariously low. The medevac energy precariously low. The supply precariously low. The army supplies are about even for now. But we'll see if Clem can keep the efficiency up to maintain it. The ghosts are so good. And actually, 20 drones over here. Not in substantial number. Snipes across the board. 1, 2 lurkers getting hit. The drones themselves will be targeted now. Is Burrow done? Reynor didn't actually get Burrow. Of course, the lurkers get it built in. Viper's looking for an opportunity. Parasitic bomb on the medevac. Splits him off. Doesn't find it right off the bat, but it's enough. More snipes. Focused everything on one lurker. A bit inefficient. Only one lurker left, though. Fighting his way out. Gets out, but all the ghosts. Oh. It actually went... He's stuck. Oh. If they had gotten out, Clem might have actually had the efficient fight he was looking for. But he found himself cornered at the edge of the map. He's scrapping now, but all the medevac's dead. The ghost not far behind. The Widow Mine's a prayer, but if Reynor's able to focus on it, he's not going to take those mine hits. This is not the ideal thing to see when you're trying to land your command center. Oh, it's not his name. It's a different orbital, but... yeah. A hatchery taking up residence. 9 more lurkers on the way. Reynor. He isn't banking money. He hasn't been maxed out. But it's getting worse and worse. Clem has lost a few too many battles. And now it looks like the war. There's just not enough snipes. 5 ghosts is not going to cut it. But the lurkers will cut them. Trying to dodge the lurker hits. And doing an okay job of it. Well, okay, alright. The deadly dance. You really should be able to attack ground with lurkers. But, trying to shuffle back and forth and dodge the spines, which sometimes you can pull off. But it's a deadly dance. Once again, some solid micro from Clem will keep him alive. But the queen... Oh my god, not again. The knitting crew. The creep over halfway across the map. Reynor's nearly maxed out. He could be maxed out if he wanted. Widow Mine gets dragged into the army. Another mine gonna hit it just as much Terran as it hits Zerg. The medevac, get over here and get out of here. Reynor with game 1. So while back and forth, mostly back for Clem. Honestly, maybe the extra NG bays, the lack of combat shield, a few little details, like in your average ladder match, that's not going to matter. But against Reynor, you can't really let him have anything. That's the difference. Like, it doesn't matter how cost-effective ghosts are if he has 3 more bases. So, with that, we'll see if Clem can work on it with game 2. Hardwire. If there was ever a map to cut... Jimmy! Cut you in half. Hardwire. A thinner map. Not too many bases to work with. Definitely one Terrans would like to draw out. It's hard to outmaneuver as there are relatively few engagement angles that an army like a Lurker Lingbane army can really exploit. And 4 or 5 bases are relatively accessible for a Terran. And I say that because last game, I think, is going to set the tone. I doubt we're going to see a Roach all-in. I doubt we're going to see, like, maybe battle cruisers. Okay, I'm going to put that out there. I'm just going to put that out there. Battle cruisers. It's possible, but not all in, but instead an actual macro cruiser build, which has been making a slight comeback. I think it's still one to have in your pocket. Maybe catch them off guard, getting a little greedy, but is quite an investment as well. So far, so standard. Only 2 in gas for Reynor, so looking for the... He's getting there. Rallying in. Efficiency. Reaper on the way for Clem, of course. I didn't check the APMs at the end of that last game, but if it was 500 before he maxed out, I can't imagine it dropping much for Reynor. Probably approaching that 600 marker. I think Clem just a little indecisive and a little slow on the first push, and Reynor just never gave up any ground. It really does feel like a tug of war. The creep, historically and even now, can really tell you where the game is. Essentially, if the creep is more than outside of the Zerg's... Like, if it's more than a screen away from a hatchery, the Zerg's doing okay. If it's pushed back within a screen of the hatch, this is usually once medevacs and all that are out. The Terran's putting on a lot of pressure. Oh my god. Will they, won't they? Oh, he's threatening. Clem is watching for the queen, preparing herself to drop a creep tumor, which is a very intimate process. But Clem watches closely because he himself is a counter creeper. He justifies his creeping by saying he's countering the creep, but really, everyone's a creep in this situation. Speaking of creep, yet again, if the creep is over halfway across the map, obviously that means the Zerg has a ton of vision, map control, and while you can deal with it, it takes an effort. And that is why I think TVZ is just such an entertaining and exciting matchup to watch, and so consistently, is because you literally have an indicator on the minimap at this level of how well the game's going. And you can see it push and pull and go back and forth. And it's pretty intuitive as well. Oh, wow. Oh, he saw the Hellions coming out. That's how he did. I'm like, how did he know the Hellions were coming? At the same time, the Hellions always show up, and also he had an Overlord spotting them. I don't know. This guy's crazy. $3CC, a Raven to kick things off. Sinking those minerals into Hellions, as well as the third command center. 4 Zerglings, counter-attack. Oh, is he gonna let him in? Oh, actually the SCVs won this fight. Clem lost 0 SCVs. Now he wants to dive in. Reynor rebuilt some lings back at home, expecting probably something similar, but the queen count are already the creep. Reynor being very efficient about it, not overbuilding tumors until he has the energy at least. I think it's pretty clear right now, based on the fact that there was still a reactor on that factory, that it's not going to be a quick medevac push like last game. So Reynor doesn't have to worry too much about saving transfuses or anything. But the Raven is a bit of a kicker. I think it's mostly an anti-creep situation. This time the Zerglings get in, this time the Zerglings get damage. It looks like the Hellions are going to try the same. An auto turret to buy time against the Queens here. More Zerglings being built. The Hellions roasting, but a lot of bumps and bruises. 5 SCVs dead and more traumatized. on the other side. But a key point, and now this is going to sound crazy. I'm about to drop some wisdom. So get your blast shields on. When you build Zerglings, you're not building drones. Yes, yes. This is relevant here, because if you look at the drone count, it is significantly less than you might expect for a Zerg player who hasn't lost any, especially after doing some damage. Zerglings come at a cost. And that cost right now, I think, was higher than what Clem paid for it. Right now, Clem is even-ish on workers, and with mules, that likely means Clem has the income advantage. So Reynor kind of gambled on a Zergling-heavy, counterattack-heavy early game, but that is when you most need to bolster that drone count, when you need to get the economy kind of stabilized. Clem understands that as well. It was a bit of a gamble from Reynor, but overall, I think Clem's going to be a lot happier with how the game has gone thus far. The only thing we're missing, though, is that 1-1. Clem, the only thing we're missing, though, is that 1-1. Thank you. Which is significantly behind Reynor. That might be part of the reason he was leaning. That might be part of the reason he was leaning on the Zerglings, because he will be going, once again, for the very Ling-heavy style. No Baneling speed, though. No Baneling speed. Oh, the Queen. Ah! Get off on the Queens are, while they've pressed the creep far out, on Hardwire, it's pretty difficult to get around on either of the lanes, especially if you don't have creep over to the right flank. Yeah. Those Queens, they do have +1 Carapace, which means they are not pushovers here. Gonna have oh my god. Terran, stand right there. We told you you'd be fine! Oh my god, have some trust! It was a near thing, but the Widowmine negated there. A whole lot of Zerglings in the main, gonna maybe exploit the the supersized Reaper Cliff. The creep is kind of intense here. 60 creep tumors so far. As Reynor, oh, should you simmer down, sir? How many keyboards do you go through a week? As he builds essentially everything he can. Oh, that's... Oh, exactly how you're supposed to do that. But the second Widowmine catches him a bit off guard. Dealing with the creep is Clem, and that's a lot of time spent. More Marines diving into the center. A bit of an awkward scenario here. Deep onto the creep. Still no combat shield done, and still no 1-1. So Clem will be driven back yet again. He's got a nice amount of workers back at home. He has an armory, right? Yes. Armory's done. It's time for 2-2. And it's time for 2-2. I'm sorry, one more time. And it's time for 2-2. Thank you. Those upgrades, I guarantee you Clem noticed that Reynor had a significant upgrade advantage. And that is part of why he's been struggling here on the field. So getting those upgrades is a priority and staying at least kind of close to even. But Reynor has taken a significant advantage. The upgrades plus an infestation pit is done. He'll be starting his hive 4 seconds ago. And so far, Clem, despite a stronger early game economy, has not translated that into any sort of damaging pressure. As I say that, a couple auto turrets at the back. It looks like the Raven itself died to a Spore Crawler. Banelings closing the distance, almost getting the juicy hit on the Marines. 2-2 is now done for the Lings and Banes. He's trying to drag the Widowmine into the Marines, but Clem picks it up. The Widowmine actually finds a decent hit. That Widowmine could have really broken the back of this bio push, but Reynor not going to get a free one on this. Meanwhile, though, creep tumors across the board, just consolidating his position. +1 ranged attack. A Widowmine drop is heading out. Is Drilling Claws done? It is not, but an armory is, so detection is required. Reynor not looking. Reynor not looking! 10 drones. Those are not that easily replaced at this stage. Reynor's not maxed out, and he doesn't have a ridiculous amount of drones, though 84 isn't bad either. Lurker Den on the way. Those are changelings, confusing me on the minimap. Drops heading towards the main. Clem, adding some tanks into the mix. Already finished a Ghost Academy well before maxing out. That's where we're going with this. And the supersized Reaper Cliff, the Hydras, will deal with it, but up the center comes Clem. Nope, not a good time. Alright. With the significant upgrade advantage for Reynor, Clem can't stand his ground on creep. He will get run over. He will not be able to kill enough mainlings. He will not be able to grind through enough Zerglings without overwhelming numbers, and he just doesn't have that. Once 2-2 is done, the Bio Army becomes insanely more cost-effective. Marines shoot very fast, and there are a lot of them. And Zerglings and Hydras both attack very fast as well. So these upgrades are a huge part of this matchup. Alright, Clem, off of creep, and with equal supply, will fight, and he will drive Reynor back on the left side, on the left flank. Yes, this is just one player playing for both sides. For those of you who might be bringing some more casual friends into the cast, please like and subscribe and stop playing League of Legends. Clem diving up the center. Ghosts on the way. Adrenal glands. Zergling attack speed, Lurker speed, +3 carapace. Full armor upgrades coming in for Reynor. Medivacs just standing. He sees no banelings and sees no danger. As soon as the banelings come in, watch out. Oh, parasitic bomb. A massive danger here on these bruised Medivacs. Be careful with those. He gets a parabomb. Oh, no, 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 no. Get out, get out. Oh, oh, oh my God. All the ships are sunk with all hands. A disaster for Clem. Beautiful parasitic bombs. The Vipers hunt them down, and they're never going to find safe harbor. Almost 4 full medevacs, and the medevacs themselves, of course. The snipes take revenge on the queens. Only one survives to tell the story, or did she plan it? We don't know. Find out on next episode of Brenda versus the World. Moving on. The Overseer gets hit by a Widow Mine. It looks like most of them were cleared out, though. Snipes, one-shot Hydras. Medevacs pinned in the corner. No idea where the Vipers went. There are still 3 Vipers. They must have gone back for energy, but Clem still pressing the issue. And like I said, about 5 bases are relatively easy to take with Terran. What is the difference? Clem did not get smashed by Lings and Banes back at home. Yes, he struggled on the field. Yes, he hasn't really found much damage. But he himself has not taken really anything since the early Zergling counterattacks. So that means he has... Ooh, get over here. And look at all my banelings. They're so sick. No, literally, though. They want to explode. It's a mental condition. So abduct, only effective if you have things to shoot medevacs. Clem can replace everything he lost. The incomes are insane right now. This is about the highest income you'll ever see in StarCraft 2. Over 4,000 minerals per minute for Clem with 1,200 gas, or from Reynor. Clem not far behind, and if he drops a couple mules, he might be higher up. Almost every base they have is mining, and they have almost every base. But this is when we rather quickly with these two transition from the high-powered, high-economy to the ultra-late game. And I don't say that as a metaphor. I say ultraless cavern. Lurker dead. Bunch of ghosts. 3 more command centers. Snipes. Things will slow down slightly. Not significantly, never with these two, but 544 to 400 APM. Some of that is just the fact building Zerglings takes a bunch. Get over the ghosts murdered one by one, but the Vipers they take with them. Partially they EMP'd. The Lurkers pressing forward. One hatchery finally died, but a huge counter. I don't even know if I call this a counterattack. This is just a regular attack, as it is the largest force on the map all in one spot right now. The medevacs try to get out from behind Reynor's base, and the Queens will take them on the way. Plenty of Overseers, but they're all stacked up, and the Widow Mines are doing a lot of damage, which means the Widow Mines aren't hitting the Lings and Banes. The Ghosts, on the other hand, though, are able to clear the line, snipe the Lurkers, and open up an opportunity to attack to the top level. Let's just go to the Clem action cam for a moment here. As Clem now has a 20 supply lead, but remember, Reynor has money in the bank. +3 melee attacks is finishing. Looking for more opportunities. Sees a huge army here. Clem not really committing to any other attacks besides this top left. Trying to pick up and get out. A little sloppy. Honestly, I picked probably the worst time for the action cam because this is when we're in the late game army scenario. We've got the ghosts. We've got armies we can't really afford to lose for both sides. We will have to see. Let's take it to the other side. To Reynor. Some lurkers to counterattack. Alright. This is just a motion sickness warning, by the way, for those who haven't watched Reynor before. This is your warning. Close your eyes. I'll do my best. Lurkers diving into the center. Find a maze of command centers. A Venn diascan will allow them to be sniped out by Clem's spooky ghost while Reynor moves through the center with the main force of his army, negating Widow Mines but still taking a lot of damage. Forced back over to the left flank. Another drop over to the top left is going to drag Reynor back off the middle of the map, and most of his forces will be committed to taking it out, despite the fact it was able to cancel one of the hatcheries, which he had to replace immediately. The map is dark and full of Terrans, though. He knows. He immediately moves back toward the center. Widow Mines find more. Ghosts show themselves on the platform of Reynor's 5th base. Reynor just going to try to avoid them, come around the back, and wrap around the front. Units rallied in from all sides. The Vipers looking for an opportunity to gather energy. They don't have enough to really be useful right now. The Medivacs pick up most of the ghosts and will be forced out as Reynor's forces are just far too much. Clem fights 2 lurkers easily. And wins in the top left and possibly, nope, doesn't quite get another hatch. Clem is mining from the majority of the bases on his side. Our attack to the bottom right. Clem actually... So we're at the chess match stage of the game. The chess match stage is when you can't replace too much of your army, and also you can't build more of it because you're maxed. So, literally, despite Clem's Medivacs for all policy here, I mean, very, very progressive of him, but 15 Medivacs for 14 Marines, 4 Marauders. Honestly, 19 Ghosts could use it. But so much of his supply is in Medivacs, it might be pushing it. Lurker's probably a better choice, especially... Oh, well, Lurker's a better choice, as are Liberators. An accidental Cyclone. Meanwhile, somehow some Zerglings at the 3rd. Their 34 SCVs have died in the last minute. There's a lot going on. I think both players are kind of struggling to take hold of the situation, and neither is firmly grasping it, and neither am I. In fact, I might be struggling the most. Some command centers forced to lift to awkward locations. Clem still pressing the issue in the top left. But he's lost. Oh, Brenda! The Queens are marching! Unfortunately, we're not entirely sure how they got here, and now they will die here, as they're not quite the best counter to a Liberator on the high ground. Meanwhile, Widow Mine. Oh, some juicy mines. Turn the tide, and then the ghosts themselves will turn and snipe the backsides. The snipes follow through. The Medivacs, one parasitic bomb would be so juicy, but I'm pretty sure EMP landed. Widow Mine's finding opportunities. He's sniping Banelings because why not? At this stage, he has 18 ghosts. Scans across the board. How many orbitals there? 7 orbitals. So, I think he has a scan essentially on cooldown, maybe more so. A Widow Mine drop sent off to the right. Reynor actually losing a lot of ground here. When all the smoke clears and the lurkers were taken out, Clem has map control. It's been a brawl, and Reynor is still sending out counterattacks, but suddenly, Clem's maxed and Reynor simply is not. I don't know, it's hard to tell exactly where things went wrong if there was any single point, but the efficiency of these units has been adding up. The Widow Mines, the Ghosts, the Medivacs have all been doing their part. And Reynor just couldn't find any decisive fights as a springboard to take out Clem's bases. That was the key in Game 1, was making sure Clem never had this sort of war machine behind him. He didn't have the mechanical industrial complex with which to replace every unit he lost and then some. But this game, oh, watch out. Whoa, 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 oh, whoa, he's looking on the other side. This is exactly what Reynor needed. Even when everything looks terrible, suddenly a single counterattack drags Clem's attention. I just kind of assumed he'd pick him up. I think Reynor did too, but half a dozen ghosts at least just died. 31 in total this game, and Clem is forced back, and he's down to 150. And that's how quickly it can turn. There's still a lurker. There has to be a... Is he out of scans? No, he still has scans. Surprisingly few. The Widow Mines, though, continue to add value. I think everyone forgot about him. 3 scans at once, checking to see if Reynor has any bases mining. The Widow Mine is barely blocking the hatchery. Snipes, snipes. A lurker in the top left. Reynor is kind of gathering up for a final attack here. Ooh, that lurker getting a lot of damage, but he didn't kill anything, so that means it'll all be healed. Parasitic Bomb an option. EMPs, where are they? Parasitic Bomb gonna do terrible, terrible damage, but only one is not enough. Consuming the spore, EMPs gets a Viper. And Clem just gunning down everything else. He has too many ghosts. Clem finds his economic footing. And he wins game 2. A mess of a series. It is very clear what Reynor needs to do, I think, for both sides. There needs to be some mid-game damage. Not early game necessarily. Clem's just going to out-micro you. Not late game, because he already has the units he needs. That Ling Bang counterattack, somewhere between 150, 200 supply. Something when Clem is still building the composition before he's already finished constructing it. Anyways, they keep changing their color between the games because they hate the casters. But at least it's not a mirror matchup, so it's not so terrible. It's not too hard to tell the difference between a Terran and Zerg. Some of my best friends are Terran, okay? So, very mildly annoying, though. Pool first! Pool first! I'm sorry, I settled into filler commentary, but don't worry. We'll be back to it, depending on if Reynor gets a gas or not. Okay, no gas, so just something to spice it up. Possibly expecting a proxy Rex. But overall, a no-gas pool means possibly attempting to delay the command center. Ooh. 2 gas, no gas, double expand with a pool first. This is actually very interesting. Is there an SCV scout? Yes, SCV off of Rex. So that means Clem is not going to have enough time to change his build. All he can do is adjust his Reaper. And that means essentially, by that I mean he can sit in his base with his Reaper, so that way Zerglings don't kill his SCVs. And that I think is likely to happen, at least until he gets a follow-up. Reynor with quite a mind game. Okay, so Clem realizes it's pull first, gonna check for the gas, sees the Zerglings. Will he check for the 3rd? I'm actually surprised that, wow, Clem is calling the bluff here, I think. He's like, I don't think so. I don't think that's what you're doing. I think that's the only 2 Zerglings. And he's right. Wow. He did not cower at all. It's like, Well, first, more targets. Yeah, he's coming in, checking. He's checking for a roach warren. That's all that matters now. He saw there was nothing mining gas over there. Yeah. All right. No bamboozling, Clem. A lesser Terran. Most Terrans would have kept that Reaper at least close to home, expecting a counterattack. But Clem does not cower. Third command center. Not gonna let Reynor be the only one to explode his economy. And since Reynor didn't have any gas for quite a while, that means not even a small opportunity for a counterattack. That means there's not going to be Zergling speed, not even something like roaches. Oh, will he lose the Reaper to Queens? Oh. He made us think he would. Thank you, Clem, for keeping me on my toes. Never take anything for granted. No, of course he didn't lose the Reaper to Queens. That'd be ridiculous. Viking on the way. Yeah, I'm going for the most greedy possible build to counter Reynor's nearly most greedy possible build. A roach warren. I say dramatically for reasons. Now, will it be a roach timing? It is definitely a different opener, and if Clem continues on this very economic focus build. Oh, wow. Oh, no! Oh, no. He's doing a Hellbat push. Which, like, I would have said, oh, no, in general, because everyone knows my thoughts on Hellbats. But even worse, Reynor is pre-building roaches. This is actually the worst possible scenario to be doing a Hellbat push. Now, the only saving grace here is that Reynor doesn't know it's a Hellbat push. He knows it's not a quick stim. He knows it's not a Tech Lab starport. He actually got an Overlord in. So we can narrow down the options here. But I never understand. Like, why do you put the Hellbats right off the bat? Like, why not go to the mineral line and then morph the Hellbats? I guess it doesn't matter much here. Anyways, more Hellbats. Okay, so they'll almost kill a queen. All right, almost. Yes. These Hellbats kill one queen. All right. Okay, so he killed one queen. Uh-huh. All right, was it worth it, Clem? Are Hellbats amazing and good and units you should keep building? Was it? Do you think that was the, So Clem lost everything and everyone. Reynor lost a queen. And I think a drone, though I'm not sure if that was related to the Hellbats. Well, that was... Like, I don't think it actually could have gone any worse. I guess he could have used his Hellbats to kill his other Hellbats. Maybe. Like, that's about it. Okay. Now, part of that is that Reynor was just kind of happening to go roaches. I don't think he was predicting the Hellbat push. I think his plan was to go roaches. But the queens themselves are usually a strong enough counter, especially when the Hellbats are not all together. So that did not work. Reynor now has his gold mostly done. He has 76 drones, and he's going to slam out roaches like it's Stefano in 2012. Yeah. Clem isn't dead by any means, because those are still roaches, and roaches are not particularly strong units in small numbers. Aptly named. He's also got a pretty solid scout here. He knows the upgrades aren't going to be particularly quick either. He saw the layer timing especially, so he knows that roach speed is not the first thing to come out. The Viking doing some fancy micro, making up for everything Hellbats can't do, which is, you know, micro or kill anything or be useful units. A double drop heading out, but we'll meet the roaches on the field. Of course, Medevac's a real danger. The best defense is a good offense with roaches, as you are not able to hunt down those Medevacs. You're not able to kill them like you would with Hydras. But of course, if you have queens and they fly right over, it makes it a little easier. It's a pretty nasty location to defend. Some roaches will come back to do so. Combat shield not done. 1-1 finishing up. Clem will have a slight upgrade advantage, which is critical against the roaches. Already a hive on the way. I'm expecting very quick Vipers. We've also got a Hydra Den. I'm pretty sure Clem scanned the main and he saw the hive and the Hydra Den. So he knows where we're going with this. He has a very good idea. We're going to be looking at hive tech lurkers and potentially Vipers well before 10 minutes, which is kind of disgusting. Reynor has 88 drones. He's taking a 5th base. He's interrupting any reinforcements. Combat shield not done, which makes these Marines more vulnerable. Combat shield finishes, and then it's unclear who's flanking who, but Clem's acting like he's the one winning this fight, and I guess that means he's right. The tanks, of course, a strong counter. 2 roaches, if you can get the angle. Reynor gets 1. No shots from the tanks. The queens will absorb a lot of these hits. Several Ravagers coming in, drawing fire from the tanks, spreading it out. The Marines, the only thing left over. Corrosive Bile forces Clem to micro away. And Clem's short-winded aggression will end here, as the weight of Reynor's supply is bearing down. Tanks, yes, a danger. Corrosive Biles are less for doing damage and more for forcing the Bio Army to micro, thus reducing its damage. There's still enough Ravagers to potentially snipe tanks. Clem, not really pressing the issue. Did he get his 4th? I don't know if the creep quite has been cleared. Immediate split. Reynor. Does he see the Medevacs? Actually, the Medevacs, 3 of them heading towards the main. Clem taking some significant risks here, especially considering his tanks are in a very exposed position. Heading towards the main, things are about to get very uncomfortable. Possibly for everyone, but for at least one of these players. I'm not sure who at this point, because Clem getting slammed by Roach Ravager, but the Roach Ravager having a tough time with tanks on the high ground. A classic conundrum. Meanwhile, the Hydra Den and the Lurker Den vulnerable. Hydra Den taken out, and with the Lurker Den going down. No, he didn't get it! I think that's worth a dozen Marines. Like, he doesn't even have range yet. Oh. Clem not taking the opportunity to snipe the Lurker Den. Yeah, he would have lost some Marines, but I don't know. Feels like after killing the Hydra Den, that was definitely worth it. He may regret that decision. He still has an opportunity to do so, as the Hydra Den taken out means no more Hydras, which means no new Lurkers. If he can get it before range is done, that's a huge deal. And now pressing the center. I don't believe there are any Vipers. Zergling speed is done now. Oh, he got it! He got the Lurker Den. Alright, he was just playing hard to get. Denied the Lurker range. And that buys him a lot of time here. Clem in the natural. The major weakness of this army composition for Reynor being exploited to the fullest. A lack of anti-air and ability to deal with these Medevacs. He's actually dropping on Lurkers and shelling the gold base, which has not been mined out yet. It still has plenty of minerals there. Finally, the Medevacs in the main are cleaned up. A lot of attention has been spent on dealing with that, and that has allowed Clem to kill 20 drones. And it's allowed him to close the supply gap. But has a beautiful mine hit, but is it enough? Multiple Lurkers, scans, retargets, doesn't find them off. Ravagers hitting the tanks, and the numbers are just too great. Oh god, there's still 2 Marines. The Lurker Den is rebuilt. 2 Marines aren't going to take it out, but they're going to take some of the drones. And Reynor's drone count is uncomfortably low. Even though he's dealt with the army, it might not be enough to stop Clem's momentum. Clem now has 70 CVs. He's finally, for the first time significantly in a while, retaken the income lead. Lurker's forced to play defensive. I'm surprised we haven't seen any Vipers out of Reynor. Anything to deal with those medevacs, or at least chip away at. The Vipers were definitely helpful in the last game, but there were just too many ghosts by the time they came out. And that seems like it's going to be true again. Ghosts are already being produced. Couple more hatcheries, rebuilding partially what he lost. Are those dropper lords? Are we doing lurker drops? Is there a Bane nest? Am I only going to cast by asking questions? Is there any other way? What do you think? Moving on. Oh, Reynor! Reynor! And the slow, inexorable drop begins. He forgot Overlord speed. Grandpa Reynor over here. God, oh my God, Ray. We'll get there. It's not about... A wizard is never late. Yes, but Zerg sometimes are. Oh my God, the Widowmine. 23 kills now. And there are 8 lurkers tied up in transit. Like, this is a lot of important army to not have. Oh my God. Oh. And the Overlord speed is done! But, he's lost a lot of ground. And then, that is 8 lurkers. That is a game-changing amount of lurkers that have been sorting out their logistics issues for quite a while now. The Overseer will tank some of the damage. The Bubula means that, well, it looks like the lurkers will unload. Oh, drops for both sides simultaneously. Reynor hitting the 4th and the main with a dual-prong lurker drop and attack. And that's the production being eviscerated right now. But at the same time, Clem, he's in the natural. He might be able to get lurker range again. 6 seconds on it. Not quite enough time. And with lurker range, it's going to be even harder to dislodge these things. But the lurker den itself, workers being slaughtered. The blue mineral workers. The first to fall on either side in this brutal bloodbath. The Marines are slowly but surely getting whittled down, but the lurker count is the same. What is the ghost number? 6 ghosts. The lurkers are dismantling the main, cutting it to shreds, you say. The Ghost Academy itself is vulnerable. Another tank pops out. There are still several... Oh, Clem is having a real tough time dealing with these lurkers. So it wasn't about how quickly the drop got there. It was the fact it got there. And right now, Clem is really struggling to deal with this. He'll fight the lurkers on the open field. And he'll clean them up. The main, though, is all but a lost cause. Almost every single barracks. He's rebuilding racks, which is a real awkward position. He probably should have lifted them a while ago, but... Some snipes. He's trying to dodge into the Overlords, which is not ideal. They'll die in the Overlords. There's still 2 more! I don't know, forgotten or fortuitous. But the lurkers, yep, another one. Oh, get in! Meanwhile, another attack at the front. Reynor doesn't have that much to lose. He doesn't have a huge economy. If he loses these lurkers, he's in trouble town. There's no more scans. He doesn't have scans. He can't deal with all these lurkers because he doesn't have enough orbitals. Oh, no. He decides to scan the natural. I think Reynor knows the situation. Based on the fact this lurker, it should have been scanned immediately. He knows he's short on energy. The lurkers are closing in. Just overlapping slices now. Clem with precious little left to lose. A huge scan on most of the lurkers. Snipes across the board. The firing squad doing what it can. The Medivacs keeping things intact. He's got to make every second count. And he doesn't have every second. Another slice. He gets the lurkers. Reynor loses so much, but not enough. The main is gone. I'm not sure if this is the main orbital or if that's just another orbital who happened to show up and want to participate. Probably the main, now that I say it out loud. A lurker in the natural. Reynor is slicing him apart. Death by 1,000 lurker cuts. Maybe more. He just runs past one lurker into half a dozen that just finished building. GG. Reynor. Oh my. He got the momentum. Where did it... The well-timed lurker drop. You see, the masterclass in masterful baiting from Reynor, I gotta say. Intentionally forgetting Overlord speed and drawing Clem's army in so far that he did not have the supply with which to respond to the drop. Just what planning by the Italian stallion. What foresight to lose several hatcheries in the process and still come out on top. Yes, that is exactly how it went down. But we'll see how this series does. Potentially, on our final map, we still have several to go. Jimmy! Oh, it's not hardwire. I know, I get that messed up all the time. Oh, yeah. I get glittering ashes and hardwire still messed up. I don't know why hardwire is all red. Glittering ashes is orange. It's very different. Reynor, for the first time in the series. Whoa! In 4 games, we have not seen a GLHF, but Reynor whips one out, up 2-1. A mind game in and of itself? I don't know. Probably not, but with these two, you never know. I've seen more devious tricks from Liquid Clam. Yes, can we talk about how bad Hellbats are? Jimmy? Yep, that looks right. Well, there are no stalkers here. We got rid of them. But, yeah. These two, so fun to watch. You can tell, it's crazy how evenly matched they are. That game was actually, I think, the closest so far. That was the most back and forth, partially because of the unit compositions. Like, Clem got shut down by roaches, but the thing is, roaches have almost no effect on Clem. Like, you're not going to kill Clem with roaches. He's just going to micro 14 medevacs simultaneously and out-multitask you. Whereas on the other side, like, if you try to press too hard on Reynor, like if you get too aggressive, suddenly you got 50 Lings and Banes in your natural. So neither of these players is going to give much. Even if they lose their army, it's the economy that matters. And for better or worse, at the end of the day, SC2 is essentially an economy management simulator. If you don't have more money to make more units and more stuff, you're very unlikely to win. Of course, how you use it is very important, but most of how you use it is to keep your economy alive so you can continue producing and minimize theirs. Brood War was even more so. Of course, there are a lot of other things that were different in the Brood War, but making sure you have that consistent income and ability to field the units makes all the difference, and that is why 8 lurkers that eventually showed up in the main ended up essentially winning the game for Reynor, which is something I don't think Clem or I have seen in quite a while. You can kind of tell because Clem didn't lift his barracks. I think he was fully expecting to deal with those lurkers. He was fully expecting to clear his main, but he just never really got the opportunity to do so. Reynor just kept him too busy. I get so much deja vu in these series because it's almost exactly the same build. But it's not. It's not the same map. It's not exactly the same build, but it's very close. 3 CC, small Zergling counterattack, few Hellions, but this time, a Banshee. Or a fake Banshee. No, you don't fake a Banshee. You'd fake Cloak if you were going to fake anything. Or you'd just get Cloak. Or you'd fake not getting Cloak. So that way you can get Cloak. Or you just didn't have the money. That's also a possibility. So Cloak Banshee's definitely a more viable option than Hellbats. Sometimes they're combined with the Hellbats. We've seen a few players try mech on this map. Not Clem. Clem slaps down 2 more racks before I can finish my sentence. I'll be getting stim soon. The Banshees have a lot of utility. They're not just for killing drones. They also force detection. They can help protect your third, kind of like a Void Ray or Protoss, as well as adding damage against queens. So if your opponent is reliant on just queens, suddenly a couple Banshees show up and it throws everything. So, oh no. No, 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 no. Oh, wow. What a horrible ending. And Reynor wins. With a dozen Zerglings in the natural at the wrong time. Oh my. Wow. Oh my. Well, I guess that's it. After 3 incredible, epic, brawl-level late games. That's happened. Well, not every game can be an amazing game, because if every game was amazing, how would you ever tell the difference? Or something profound like that. Just like Sun Tzu said, man who let Zergling in base deserved to lose game because noob. Don't be a noob. Subscribe today. Smash that like button. Check out these videos and those videos and all the videos. And maybe play StarCraft. Not too much, though. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.